What is up guys, this is vywei, former top global on Kagura, and for today's video, I will be teaching you the ropes on how Kagura works. This will include tips and tricks, combos, itemization, laning, and lastly her strengths and weaknesses. We all know Kagura is by far the most versatile mage in mlbb. She can easily be played in many roles such as mage, roam, marksman, and perhaps XP lane and jungler with little difficulties. Though she is indeed a hero that is difficult to master with bajillion combos and freestyle, learning her is definitely worth it. What makes Kagura unique to all other mages is her ability to be a mobile mage. We all know that the first part of her dash can remove an instance of crowd control except suppressions, but it can also remove debuffs such as burn from Valir's passive in Glowing Wand, stacks from Zushin, 1-1 Yuzong and Brody, shreds from Hilda, Dyrod, and Genius Wand, as well as Navaria's ult and many more. The only debuff that you cannot remove, I guess, is Minchatar's ultimate and Carmilla's ult. You can remove the stun from Carmilla's ult, but the link will stay even if you dash out of it. There are certain crowd controls that are specially coded in the game in a way that they have a continuous effect. I call them the special crowd control. Best example here is Chu's ultimate. The first part of his ultimate can knock you back, and the second part is where he throws multiple kicks at you. And as what I've mentioned, Kagura's Purify only works to remove an instance of crowd control, so you need to remove the knockback first in order for you to completely purify it, or else it won't work if you already purify at this time where he is already throwing multiple kicks at you, since it is continuous. There are some special crowd controls that you cannot be able to remove instantly. Best example here is Tigreal's ultimate, where you need to wait for his pull before you can purify it. And here's the list of special crowd controls that I can think of. And this is how they look like in game. Now let's move on to our other dash. The reason why I called it as a dash, it is because it is really a dash. Which brings me to my next point, that linear projectiles cannot be dodged in the gap between Kagura and her umbrella. Let's take a look at this example. For the second tip, this skill can also be buffered with flicker. Moving on to her first skill, we all know it can be used to check bushes, and it also doesn't have any casting time, meaning to say that it can be used while moving and even dashing. Her first skill can also have a higher range when thrown against the edge of the wall. And for the last tip, Kagura's umbrella will not return to her if the umbrella is still traveling, even if you're far away from it. For the first part of her ultimate, always take note that this skill will only knock back enemy heroes outside of its range. Meaning to say that the stun is longer the nearer the enemies to you, and in contrast, the stun is shorter the farther the enemies. For the second part of her ultimate, Kagura's pull is special as it can be able to pull enemies even if the umbrella is moving. Which brings me to my next tip, that skill 1 damage will proc to enemies that are pulled by umbrella mid-flight. As a global Kagura, I personally think that most of her freestyle are unnecessary to begin with, as there are more simpler combos that are easier to execute and in practicality are enough to win you most of the time. Common misconceptions that player who wants to try Kagura or are already practicing her thinks that taking down enemies should be flashy to some extent, leading to discouragement or abandoning her due to the level of difficulty this mage have. Take this freestyle as an example. Killing a low HP enemy while emptying your skills at your disposal can make you become more vulnerable without your dashes or flicker. So you can use this one instead for simpler execution and minimal mistakes. So this is by far the most used combos that I personally use, but of course it still varies from one situation to another. Just to give you a heads up, the itemization for her is a bit complicated if I would have to explain them one by one, as there are a lot of variables that we need to consider, like the type of team comp you play against, who is the biggest threat / carry on the enemy team, or if they are building defensive item. So this is just an overview for what I'm about to show, but feel free to interchange them however you like. This is a standard build that I use for squishy heroes, but if they do have healers / shielders, you can use this build. The reason why I put parenthesis on Furina, it is because that her ultimate removes anti-heals, so it is best to overpower them with damage and use the standard build instead. And if they have 1 or 2 tanks except Minotaur, you can use this build. The reason why Minotaur is exempted on this list, it is because that his heals provide hybrid defense to his allies, so we will be adding him to the Rose Gold mid-tier list. So if most of them are tanky heroes, this is the build that we will be using, but you can also use the CDR build if you'd like. Anyway, that would be all for today's video. As my phone can't keep up with the overlays and overall edits for this, I didn't really think that this video would took so long. And by the way, thank you so much for the 10k subscribers. I really appreciate the support, and I'll be posting the remaining tutorial next week.